Welcome to the Explainer. So think about the last game you bought. Chances are you just downloaded it, right? Maybe you played it with friends halfway across the world. Well, 30 years ago, that was pure science fiction. Today, we're going to dive into that incredible journey, from a single plastic cartridge to the global digital cloud. It's a wild story about how we play.
To really get a handle on just how far we've come, let's rewind the clock, way back to 1989. The way you got your hands on a new game back then, well, it was a completely different world from what we're used to today.
Getting a new game was a whole event. It meant an actual trip to a store, holding the box, all that stuff. But that game you bought, it was basically a closed loop. It only worked on one specific console. And a lot of the time, what you could even buy was limited by where you lived. A game like Dungeon Explorer, hey, if you weren't in Japan with a TurboGrafx-16, you were just kind of out of luck.
Okay, now let's jump back to the present. That whole physical, region-locked way of doing things, it's been completely blown apart. The way a game launches now is almost unrecognizable.
Think about a big release like WWE 2K24. It doesn't just launch in one country. No, it drops in over 40 countries at the exact same time, ready for you to download on a bunch of different platforms. So how in the world did we get from that one cartridge in Japan to this? Well, the journey starts with the box.
Right, so our story kicks off in an era that was absolutely dominated by Japanese hardware and physical game cartridges. This was really the foundation of the home video game industry as we all knew it.
Back then, a game's release was this tangible physical event. Everything was tied to an object you could actually hold. Didn't matter if it was a SNES cartridge for a Japan-only game like Zico Soccer or a box of floppy disks for a PC title like Space Quest 4 in the States. Your geography and the hunk of plastic under your TV dictated your entire gaming library.
But as the 90s rolled on, there was this other force, kind of humming away on people's desks all over the world. The good old personal computer. And it started to poke some serious holes in that physical model, planting the seeds for a digital revolution.
And this is where we see the first real cracks in the system. Ideas like shareware, which games like Conquest of Elysium used, were an absolute game changer. I mean, for the first time, you didn't need a massive publisher or a retail store. You could just download a demo, try it out, and then buy the full game straight from the person who made it. It was this huge shift in power.
So while the PC is off doing its thing, pioneering these new ways to get games, the console world is just leveling up in a massive way. The PlayStation 2's arrival wasn't just about better graphics, it was the signal of a new era of market dominance. The whole industry was growing up, becoming a global business with way higher stakes.
And with all that growth, you start to see these big corporate chess moves. Media giants like GameSpy and IGN merge. Huge publishers start snapping up hit studios, and even tech companies like Yahoo begin looking at the brand new mobile market. Gaming wasn't just a hobby anymore, it was becoming a serious global business.
Okay, this is where things get really crazy. We're in the mid-2000s now, and the internet and better connections are about to fundamentally and permanently change what it even means to release a game.
The floodgates were just opening. The internet was changing from a place you went to get a free demo into the primary destination for gaming itself. Suddenly, games were just popping up everywhere, with no box in sight. And what's so fascinating here is just the sheer variety of new ways to get a game. You had super simple, addictive browser games you could play instantly. You had powerful digital stores like Steam selling huge, full-price titles. You had special platforms on consoles just for small indie creators. And of course, the absolute explosion of mobile gaming on smartphones. Yeah, the old model was officially broken.
So, this digital explosion leads us right into the modern era, a landscape that's defined not by a few big releases a year, but by an absolutely overwhelming number of games and completely new ways of making them.
One of the biggest new ideas to come out of this digital world was early access. This just totally flipped the old model on its head. Now you, the player, could buy and play a game while it was still being built, giving developers direct funding and feedback. For small indie teams, this was a lifeline. Of course, it also came with risks for players. You might buy into a game that never actually gets finished. And boy, did this model take off, especially on Steam. It completely changed how games get funded and finished. It gave small teams with huge ideas, like the folks behind Ranch Simulator or The Culling, a real shot at competing by building their games with support directly from the people who were going to play them. But all this explosive growth came with a lot of instability too. For every success story, every new mobile company or studio getting revived, there were bankruptcies and closures, like when the legendary Maxis Emerville was shut down. It's a stark reminder of the very real human cost of such rapid, unpredictable change.
And the end result of all this new access, these new ways to develop games, you get an absolute flood. The sheer number of games coming out every year just became staggering. It's literally impossible for anyone to keep up with it all.
But this flood also unleashed just boundless creativity. I mean, in a world with almost no barriers to entry, you could suddenly get a super charming indie game about a mole delivering mail on major platforms.
And at the same time, at the complete opposite end of the spectrum, you could have a developer create a clone of a modern hit like Wordle, but for the Fairchild Channel F, a console that originally came out in 1976.
Or you could even find a game that's designed to be played directly inside a YouTube video. It's nuts. The point is, the old gatekeepers were just gone. The barriers to creating a game and getting it out there had almost completely disappeared.
So, we've gone on this journey all the way from a single Japanese cartridge to this chaotic, creative, totally digital present. What does this incredible path tell us about where we're going next?
You know, looking back, you can really see the whole transformation in these 4 big steps. We went from this tightly controlled physical industry to a wide-open digital world in just a few decades. And every leap forward gave more access and more power to both the players and the creators.
And here's the real kicker. This pace of change isn't slowing down. Not at all. We're already looking at 2025 release schedules for platforms that didn't even exist 20 years ago. It took about 30 years to go from the cartridge to the cloud, a massive shift that happened in a single generation. It just leaves you with one big question. What will they become in the next?